It's Kringle time. Sit back and relax as we dive into a world of laughter and learning with the Kringle brothers, reminding us that we are better together.
Hello,
Hey,
hello, hello.
welcome to Crinkle Times, everyone. I'm your host, Michael Howe, and
I am the Herbie,
the Herbie host.
the
Yeah,
Herbie
I keep
host.
thinking I've worked really hard on learning to point to you, thinking that someday you're going to come up with like a little DJ thing. But all right, maybe on another day.
Well, if we can figure out how to put sound effects in there, we will be jamming. Oh my
oh,
goodness,
oh, you
we
want sound effects?
we could work on that maybe for season 4. Did I do bad?
No,
Oh,
no. I was giving you sound effects.
I love it.
Here,
Well,
I
let's
love
see
Herbie.
here.
Here's Herbie, Michael, and there. You get some
Anyway,
door pipes.
well,
All right, never mind. All right, I'll get out of those
well,
buttons.
let's see. We have Mike Connor with us, and we have the Vineyard Santa. John's with us, and
And Lewis
also
is here. And
Lewis.
nice.
And let's see who else we got here.
And Bill is here.
I got a new
And
mouse
Gary
over
is
here.
here.
Gary and Bill and Santa Allen. Oh my gosh, I am so glad that you are all with us today. So, Michael, how has your week been going?
A little crazy,
A
but you know
little.
what? It's July. I mean, we won't go over everything that has happened. Unfortunately, we've had a couple funerals, a couple
Okay.
memorial services, and of course, getting ready for the shows. I am so excited. My outline's done. I think all my props are finished. It's kind of like one of those. I'll take the next couple days, before I get start the show, and just to do some dry runs and make sure everything's smooth. But I'm really excited. I got a couple extra events this year, and yeah, so it's July. How
Well,
about
yeah.
you? I know
Well,
you went to Georgia.
Well, yeah, I went to Georgia. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week. I just was found out that I have to run to Knoxville, Tennessee early next week. So
Oh,
before we forget, unfortunately, our Kringle brother family, Kringle Time family, I'll be able to speak sometime
small
today.
hiatus.
Yes, we're going to take next week off. For those that have been joining us for the practice for sign language, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And tomorrow's our last one. There's
Right.
still, if you want to do sign language practice, there's still time. You can go to our events page on Facebook, and see part 3 or practice 3, and register. The link is there in the comments.
And you know what? Again, as we always say, always click to follow us, to like us, and that way you'll get all the wonderful information. Because Michael and I were talking, we may, before, like in the month of September, maybe do one more practice session before we start getting really into the sign language of the season. Now, I was just reading Bill's comment here. Herbie, you should drive or fly instead of running. But Bill, I am really quick. I am fast. I am like Panther.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've got a real quick diversion side note here. I just saw Jody is in the group and said hi to everybody. Jody, just to let you know, forgot exactly where my wife was the last couple days ago, right? But she was visiting somebody, and before she left, she goes, "I have something to ask you." And she goes, "Yes." She goes, "Is Jody really your son?" Because Jody's been accused of being my Santa son, right? And so everywhere we go now, people are, "Is he really your son?" "Oh, he's my Santa son."
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah, so just to let you know, Jody, I thought that was kind of cute. I just thought,
It's
yeah, no.
kind of like what we always say here: as you start getting in the Santa community, it all becomes one big family. You are all brothers and sisters and cousins and children. If we can help in any way, we're here to basically keep the knowledge flowing.
Right.
So,
So
Michael,
what do you want to talk about today?
well, today was a good one. Michael actually, we talked and I got to pick the episode today, and I'm really excited to share this with you. The name of the session is Knowing Your Audience, The Art of Seeing Before Being Seen. That's a good title.
I like it.
It was a fun title. Yeah, oh my goodness, Oliver's with us, and Scott and Jeff Earns, and oh my goodness. But what do we mean by the art of seeing before being seen? Well, here, I know, Michael, why don't you go ahead and tell your story?
Oh, you want instead of your story?
Well, go ahead and tell
We'll
yours.
we'll do this. In other words, and all right, I'll share my one story that happened. I don't know, about 10 years ago, maybe. Everything runs together nowadays when you get older, right? But I one of the first things when I do a visit, and this was a multiple family visit, so there was probably about 16, 17 kids, in the visit. All the big family togethers all together, right? Came in, Santa, Santa, and you're hello everyone, and you're really good. And one of the first things I like to do is pictures right off the top when I do a home visit because the kids are excited, and so their facial expressions into the picture, you get a lot of really good pictures instead of waiting, right? So there was a child that she didn't, the other boys and siblings were cool, they could sit on Santa's lap and see Santa and the whole 9 yards, but she stayed a difference, and the mom was starting to force her, and I could see the panic in her eyes of the child, right? And I went, no, 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 mom, trust me. I go, I'll get a picture with her before I leave. Is that okay? And mom goes, but I want the picture. I said, we'll get it, mom, just wait. Right. And so then I started going in the home visit. And so we started playing some games with everybody, and all of the, all of the blowing the bubbles and all the stuff that we all do. Right. And towards the end, they were coming back up. And who didn't get a picture? I made a comment, and I waved that little girl that was all fearful at the beginning, right? And she sat on my lap, and the mom went to get the picture. And I remember looking at the mom going, was this the child that was afraid? And the mom goes, yes, right, kind of thing. She got her picture, she got what she wanted, but I could tell that that child just needed to make sure I was safe. That, but by playing the games and the interaction with all the other children and siblings that were there, she came to the place that Santa was okay, and then she sat on my lap at the end before I left.
And again, though, that's because why? You notice it early on and you assess the situation. I mean, the one that I was going to say is,
So is that was the story you
yeah,
wanted me to
that
share,
that
right?
that was the one
Okay,
there
all
too.
right.
But a lot of times too is, you're at an event, and it's one of those typical events of, like you were saying, photographs, stories, laughter. But for me, as the event was coming to a close, a family approached with their young son, and he immediately began to cry and attempted to hide behind his father's leg. Well, most instantly, I think a lot of us would try to solve that
Did he
instead of
try to
doing.
play peekaboo with you
Well,
at
no, it
least?
wasn't a point of peekaboo. He was like trying to put something that he viewed his dad as a protector,
Oh
and
yeah,
he
there was
was
that
actually
visible force
it was
field.
that force
Yeah.
field in there too, and something just clicked in my brain at this time where I didn't want to solve that problem. It was not a problem for me to solve. So what I ended up doing is I said, "It's all right. Let's try this. Why don't you sit in Santa's chair?" And he kind of peeked around his dad's leg. And I said, "Come on, you can do this. I won't even look at you." And I went behind the chair. And as he got closer, he was still a little bit hesitant. Then finally, I came back around. He goes, "I have another idea. What happens if I'll just sit right here on the ground. You could sit right with me if you want to, or stand, and we're just going to talk. You don't have to worry about pictures or anything else like that." And the little boy sat down right next to me. And before I know it, he's jumping into my lap. We're sitting Indian style, which at that point I didn't think I could get back up. My legs became crispy, and I
I'm
was like,
thinking, oh, dude, you got me down on the floor, Indian style.
that,
Yeah, I'm gonna need
that,
some help.
that's why I work with elves, and thank goodness this was the last family. But this made me think about knowing your audience. Now, I know for all those who have seen me or met me in person, one of the things that I am notorious for is coming in like a bolt of lightning.
Yeah, you can. Your entrance could be a little energized.
I am
I'll say it that way. You're
a
the little
little.
energizer bunny kind of thing.
I knock out the Energizer Bunny. But what I found out is that that's not the way to enter every single situation. And when you start coming into different areas and different places, you have to look at your audience. And you have to basically start matching the excitement of your audience.
right.
Now, I know you said one thing, Michael, that really struck to me before we actually came on tonight, and that was What did Mr. Rogers say?
Oh, Mr. Rogers. I loved watching the movie with Tom Hanks and Mr. Rogers, and even I would go back and watch some of Mr. Rogers episodes on YouTube TV. You know what I mean? Just to watch it and his pace, But when in that movie, he made that comment. He goes, "This is." Because he was so focused. The whole set would shut down if there was a child in there, and everyone knew that it didn't matter if they said there was a time schedule, if there was anything important or they had to get done, that Mr. Rogers would say, "This is the most important visit for the moment. This is the most important thing." And he could live in the moment so well, and that everyone that was with him, that was it. That was the most important thing. And so then I shared with you, because of that, I literally have to say that in my head, this is my most important visit today. Focus, Michael. Because with my ADHD, it's easy for me to get on task and easy for me to just kind of push through it. And I've got to remind myself, this child is the most important visit today. Slow down, look in their eyes, and listen. So
Well, before we go any further, we do have to say hello to a very special viewer with us tonight. Hello, Sister Claus.
I did see that she was on. Oh, she's a hoot.
She is one. Well,
This is her birthday month. She's gonna.
oh my goodness.
I'm
she's
not
a-
going to say how old she's going to be. Well, that way she'll still love me.
Well, we all know my wife always tells me I'm 5, so I'm eternally Peter Pan in some aspect. But from a theater perspective, knowing your audience simply means understanding who is receiving your performance and adjusting your communication so that it can be successfully received. And because of a Christmas performer's performance is immersive theater, we have to recognize who's in front of us, what emotional state are they experiencing, what expectations are they bringing, what fears they may have, what memories they carry, and what we need for the moment. So
Yeah.
simply put, is as Michael said with Mr. Rogers, our focus has to be what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our minds have been so conditioned to think 2 or 3 steps ahead that we find ourselves constantly not being in the moment.
Yeah.
And the scary point, not scary, but for those of us who plan, I'm sure we all do this, and pretty much you have your shtick. And that shtick is, Merry Christmas. Would you like to sit at my knee or stand next to me? Oh, I know you've been very good this year, so what would you like for Christmas? Now, let's get that picture. Do you have any questions for Santa? Oh, wonderful. Well, you have a very good day, and go get a candy cane from one of the elves. And it just becomes humdrum.
I'm just laughing because you got that stick down pretty good.
Oh my goodness, yes. But again, I try to mix it up depending upon who's with me, because what I like to do too is to try to put a child at ease is to notice what they're wearing.
Yes.
Working-
Yes. Yeah. Good.
Working at the lodge, of course, you see a lot of Bluey. So my response is, oh, my favorite is Bingo. Why? Not only is he the big brother to Bluey, but it's just fun to say Bingo.
Yeah.
Or my other one with the T-Rex. Why do they have small arms? Because they like to dance like this.
Yeah.
But
And I'll throw that out. One of my favorite things that I absolutely love it. A little girl comes up and she's got purple on, normally pink, right, kind of thing, and or let's say she had pink on, and I'll say this to her. I go, "Do you know what? Barbie's favorite color is pink, and if I remember right, yours is pink too, right? And they've got pink on. Yeah, how did you know?" And it's just it's focusing on what do you see,
well,
and taking it all in.
have you ever experienced this? You're going into a restaurant and you notice that the waitress or server has their name badge on, and you start calling them by name.
Yeah.
And they go, how do you know my name? Well, because it's on your uniform. And they're like, oh my goodness. When I was a kid, I love to hang around all these carnivals, these pop-up carnivals you see around the city. Well, I never figured it out, but when I would walk down, the game alley where you have all the, here, take my money, and you get your little mirror.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I used to wear shirts with my name on them because those were popular when I was. So I never understood why these carnies would know my name. So they'd start calling me over by name. And then they start talking you up. And the next thing you know is, okay, here's $20 for a $2 mirror.
Oh, and then
And
all those shirts went to Goodwill, and everyone out there was named Kirby.
exactly. But that's what being in the moment is. It's not just paying attention to the environment around us, but it's understanding how you have to alter your performance to cater to the person in front of you.
Yeah.
And especially for those of us who tell stories, sometimes you can begin a story that's not really going over well. So you have to know exactly how to get in and get out of it and change the story up so you can move on to something else that may be more engaging. I, oh yeah, John, that's a good idea too. If you say something just to the edge of acceptance and just be sarcastic in your attitude, it could be a great icebreaker in this day and age. You're absolutely right, John, but I do want to caution you with this though, is because being sarcastic can also have counter effects as well. We all know about the 6-7 aspect. 6-7, 6-7.
8-9.
Well, I started going, instead of doing 6-7, I started going 6-7. It's opposite this way. So anyway, so it goes on 6-7 like this. Well, I did that for a family, and the first thing out of the father's mouth was, Santa, we don't teach our kid gang signs. Well, I looked at him point blank and said, well, if you go into some of the neighborhoods I do to deliver gifts, you have to know what side of the street you're on so you know what sign there has to be thrown. And I started throwing around different gang signs. And
You
the
really know
father,
gang signs?
oh yeah.
All right.
My mother said if it wasn't basically me joining the Navy when I did, I would have been in a gang or in jail.
Well, I'm glad you joined the Navy.
Me too.
Glad you're not in jail.
Me too, because I would be like currency. But anyway, that's another story for another time. Now,
I was trying to give a smooth transition out for you, but all right, that didn't go.
that did not, does it ever go with me? Come on now, you know better than that.
So, audience, the difference with children, we talked a little bit children, talk a little bit about audience reading. In other words, the group of them, the group in front of you.
Knowing your audience matters because acting teaches us to discuss objectives. What does your character want? Christmas forwards must ask additional questions. What does my audience need? But these two questions are really these two questions rarely have the same answer. A performer may want to be funny, to be memorable, to impress, or to create energy, or to keep the line moving, while the audience may want safety, comfort, permission to participate, time, validation, joy, and silence. The most successful Christmas performers understand their needs come second. The audience's emotional experience always comes first.
Yeah.
Now, this is important because I know, Michael, you say this many a time where, now you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but please do, is
All right.
how long does it take for a child to respond to a negative comment?
Oh, a negative comment?
Yes.
Like 2 to 3 seconds.
And now if you actually give them a positive comment, how long does it take?
It's going to take like 12 to 13 seconds for it to register. In other words, the difference is like a negative thing. Like if I put my hand up like this, immediately your flight thing, they're gonna turn their head away from it, right? So it's that negative boom, just like that safety thing. But you're just saying Santa loves you. Oh, you need tons of times for that to register for him or for her to let that so you repeat it, because it's good.
Now, oftentimes, children, they don't get any validation. They don't get the encouragement because families work, pressure of every day, and sometimes the children just don't think that they measure up to their family's expectations. And this could fall into the same lines too of having a meltdown as they're waiting in line for to see Santa or Mrs. Claus, or having that meltdown when it's their turn.
Hmm.
By validating, by giving time, by just recognizing the child, you can actually stop many of these situations from even occurring. Because I think Michael and I've talked about this many a times too, where normally it's not the child who's afraid, it's the parents who have put so much stress and anxiety on the
Hmm.
child that they have no other way to react except to basically lash out. You know, you
Well, because they don't have the words or the emotional
right.
maturity to be able to know how to deal with it. That it's a different situation, you
Well,
know.
I mean, we've all heard those. You know, don't mess up your clothes. Excuse me. Don't mess up your clothes. You know, you better be good for Santa. You don't need. And then the child is so afraid to do anything wrong. By the time they get up there and they meet the person that they came to see, they immediately lose it because, as Michael said, they don't have the emotional wherewithal to basically deal with that. Heck, there's some adults who don't even have that as well. All right, Michael, I got
Let's do
20
this.
after. We're going to run our commercial break right now.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect.
I was just all right. You're awesome, Irving.
Since 1948, one suit defined Santa. Designed by Charles W. Howard and worn by the world famous Santa Claus School. Worn for presidents, movies, parades, and the most magical moments in families' lives. This is not a costume, but finely tailored, hand-sewn clothing made in the USA. With expert cleaning, restoration, and storage services available, Santa and Company LLC makes Santa magical.
Are you going crazy managing clients, contracts, and invoices? Kringle Tracker is here to help you. Stay organized with ease. Keep your sanity in check with Kringle Tracker's intuitive tools to effectively manage your schedule and clients. Our seamless, customizable contract system allows you to tailor your contracts to you and your clients' needs. Prepare for tax time like a pro by tracking your income and expenses and generate reports to make it a breeze. Transform your Claus business by signing up for a free 20-day trial. Kringle Tracker was created by a Claus for the Claus community so you can focus on making magical memories for your clients. Head over to kringletracker.com and sign up for your free trial today.
We're
Hey,
back.
we're back. Oh my goodness, here. Well, you know, Don has some interesting words I was just reading in the chat here. Is being observant is one of the most important things you can learn. You're right, Don. That is very true. Don Sullivan, Papa Santa from California. So glad you could be here, Don. Love hearing from you and seeing you. And then Don also came back and said the way you speak, the tone of your voice needs to be equal to the child's. At least that's what I found out. You're right, Don. I mean, and this is the point is your energy level has to match the child's level. You'll have a child who will run into your lap and jump 5 feet. They think they're Michael Jordan going up for a bucket or something like that, and you gotta sit there and go, "Whoa, I gotta catch this kid, or something's gonna happen." But then again, you're going to get the quiet ones who you can barely hear, and they're being pushed towards the back because they have siblings who are a little bit more outgoing and a little bit more into it. So you have to basically learn to adjust to accommodate each individual and not always think about how you can get out.
No, I loved your comment in our notes about human connection. Share about the human connection.
Well, again, human beings are constantly evaluating three questions whenever they meet another person. And this becomes important too is the first one is, am I safe? And of course, this is the first and most important question because before a child or anyone hears your words, they evaluate your body language, your movement, your facial expressions, your voice, your physical size, and your energy. If they don't feel safe, no amount of performance or skill will matter. So again, as we were kind of saying, is if you are coming up with body language that seems to be tense, it's like, oh my God, why am I here? Then that's going to relate to the child that they're not important. If your movements are quick and a little bit erratic, like me, then you turn right around and then the child gets afraid because they can't comprehend what's going on.
So, do you do anything since you're aware of a natural tendency for you? What do you do to change that for you?
Well, for me, is especially with the body language, is I try to actually realize, as you again going back to your comment with Mr. Rogers, is I don't know what the future is going to hold for each one of these families. So for me, I start looking at this one and going, you know what? And I don't want to say it's a morbid, but for all I know, is this may be the last time they see Santa. And it doesn't really need to be morbid. You know, if it's a child, 7, 8, 9 years old, Christmas can be wrecked for them because they have a cousin or a friend, an older sibling of a friend who destroys the whole myth of Santa for them. So you want to try to make it as magical as possible. Facial expressions. I always try to have a smile on my face. I can't tell you how disheartening it is when I see wonderful pictures of everyone out there and I look up at the face and they all have resting Santa face.
Mm.
And again, the voice, I've learned to keep it down. I don't need to be multiple decibels or cackling or anything else more than that. And then physical size, look, I'm short. I'm built like a barrel. And then, of course, my energy level, I try to match the child's energy level to me. If they're going to be excited like they just finished like 6 pixie sticks, well, guess what? Santa can do 10 pixie sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it's somebody that's just quiet, a little bit more subdued, then, that's what I have to be. The second question is, am I seen? Everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to feel important. They want to feel understood. So again, by pronouncing the child's names correctly, and I know that's sometimes difficult because working all those wonderful virtual visits, if it wasn't for pronunciation websites to learn people's names, I would be in a whole world of
Oh
hurt.
yeah, names.org. If you're doing virtuals or you need to go through names, names.org. Oh, what a wonderful
Wonderful
site.
site because
I
they
live on that site for virtual visits and
They
stuff.
tell you how to say the child's name and give you a percentage about how correctly it is.
And when they come back and says, "Well, this is 20% correct," you're going, "Oh, or I could be in trouble."
Now, the second thing is recognizing nervousness. There is a difference between being shy, being nervous, and being terrified. Oh, yeah, the Vineyard Santa. Santa Herbie, you mentioned height. How tall are you? I am the right jolly old elf size of 5'6".
Oh yeah, he's a whole foot taller than you.
Yes, he is. But also, you have to notice excitement, acknowledging sadness. You don't know what happened. Michael and I perform at Great Wolf Lodge, and oftentimes the parents are plucking the children out of the pool to go and see Santa, and they're like, I don't want to see the guy right now. I'm swimming and having fun.
Or they come to you all wet.
Right. Oh, yes. And then you really have to get a little bit more. But also remembering details. And if you're in the moment, you'll remember those details. But if you're thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead, those little details will always be missed. And then finally, listening more than speaking. People often ask me, Herbie, how can you come back and come up with so many things? Your improv skills are really good. And I tell them, I can teach you improv in 3 minutes. And they look at me and go, how? It's simple. Listen, be truthful and be honest. You don't have to be funny. You don't have to do anything. That comes naturally. But the
Just
last,
observe, yeah.
but the last question everybody asks themselves is, do I matter? And when people believing they mattered, they remember the experience for years. And we all want to matter. We all want that pat on the back. How many of you feel really great when after you do a gig, the client comes up or the host comes up and goes, "You were the best Santa ever." And you're like beaming because why? You're validated. You mattered. And now you feel it and you move into your next event
You do
living
the
off of
same
that
thing.
high. Exactly. So now you become striving to be more and more and more. And these are the same thing for the children. As we pointed out earlier, if you can validate, okay, you have an older sister, an older brother, say, "Oh, I know you'll be a wonderful big brother, and I expect you to teach the little one here all about me and what it takes to be on a good," because you make them now matter because they often get put off to the side.
Yeah, and I know that one of the things that I'll do in my visit too is that I will use the word "I'm proud of you." And children will look at you like, "What?" And I go, "I'm just so proud of you." And then they'll come back and say, "Proud of what?" And I went, "Well, I know that you didn't want to go to school, but you did.
Well,
And
did
you
it?
know what? By going to school, it means you're putting yourself in a place to learn, which is so important. And even though you didn't want to, you did it. And I'm so proud of you for that."
Well, didn't you do the same thing as a teacher as well?
Well, yeah. In other words, the same kind of thing when I taught. There was a concept that called capturing kids' hearts that I absolutely loved it, and I literally was stood at a stand at the door before my class started and greet all the kids. "Hey, Bobby, how you doing?" And my whole intention of just greeting them at the door was one to get that interaction that I wouldn't get when I was lecturing, but it also gave me a read on, oh, Jill just came in the room and her countenance was really low. And so, all right, something's up with Jill. Make sure I touch base with her in my head, right, to see if everything's okay. And you could see what kids were excited. If there was a baseball game last night and you knew these were players, and you're going, "You look excited. You must have won." "Yeah, we did." You know what I mean? So it's giving you a chance to read your audience. And it takes time. It's like it's one of. I guess I'll say this too. I mean, we're I the best at it right away? No. Am I still learning that skill? Yes. It takes time to be able to read, but the more you practice it, and the more you do it, the better you become at it. Also.
And that's just it. All we're doing is basically just kind of touching the base and the surface. And in a few minutes, we're going to give you some exercises that you can actually maybe use just to help you hone in your skills on this. But before we go into that,
Practical applications.
oh my goodness, that's just some big syllable words there.
Let's
But
do a dad joke.
you want to do a dad joke? We'll do a dad joke.
All right.
Why can't Santas be loud in Hawaii?
Because it's the Aloha State.
Her eyes made that joke.
Well, and I thought it was appropriate since we're talking about being loud with children and stuff. The Aloha State. Aloha State. Yeah, that's the only thing that would have been fun for Nancy to do. And just by the way, to say Jerry and Nancy at the Red Suit Conclave that's coming at the end of the month, first of the month of August, right? Doug, Santa Doug, and Jenny and Chris are setting up Family Feud.
Well, you forgot Kimmy.
Well, Kimmy's in there too, but she's on the team. I didn't say but yes, Kimmy too. And so we're Family Feud. So it's the Kringle brothers team against the Claus couple team, right? So Nancy and Jerry are a part of our family along with your lovely wife.
Yes. So we have our five now. Who is their fifth? Do you know?
Let's see if I remember right. It's Bruce and Kathy and Chris and Kimmy, and who's the number 5 for them? Oh,
Well, you forgot Doug and Jenny.
Well, no, Doug Doug is doing production work.
Oh.
Mel is
emceeing,
but there's someone else on the team. It's not Doug because he's running all of the sound, all of the stuff because we're going to broadcast it live. So Saturday night,
August 1st.
August 1st, we'll broadcast the Christmas Family Feud show. It'll be fun.
With the Clauses versus the Kringles.
So I've been practicing.
That's
You know how they
on
get
the
it up.
back,
They get the right. You want them to get the wrong answer, so you get a chance to steal the points.
Strike. Well, going back in, okay, we're now going to look at the 4 different audiences of a Christmas performance. The first audience, of course, is the child. And what are some of the things that they might ask? Can I trust you? Are you listening? Do you understand me? And will you embarrass me?
Oh, especially with teenagers. I see that so much with older kids.
Now, again, some of the strategies that you can employ are speak slower, lower your body position when possible, avoid sudden movement, ask simple questions, and allow for silence, and follow their imaginations. Never correct the child. Their imagination is sparks, and they could give you great ideas to move forward with.
And I love what you did with that, because that's a good example of the light, talking to the light. Share that story, because that's a good crossover of pulling the child in and getting them into the story.
Oh, well, which one is that one? I don't know.
You know, you had your little thumb light, and you're talking to them, and
Oh, what I did is because what I learned on virtual visits, because I would also mispronounce children's names because I was getting some doozies. And I messed up on one name. Well, like I had my thumb light next to my computer in front of the camera. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And then just to me, hey, Flick. And then I brought the thumb light up and it said, this is Flick. He is the record keeper of all the records at the North Pole. He made a mistake in our books for that. But that's okay. He's very sorry. Yes, I know, Flick. I know. Is he forgiven? Yes, they say you're forgiven. And then instantly, all right, Flick, go back to work. And now
that's a great recovery from accidentally knowing that the name is important. How can I do something magical to recover from it? And I love that story.
And again, that was just because it was on the desk and I was using it for other things, but it just worked. And that's like I'm saying, sometimes you don't have to really think. And if you're in the moment, you can respond so magically and so wonderfully. Now,
just real quick, it's Randy Checker.
Oh, yeah, Randall Checkerly is their 5th.
Thank you, Jenny.
Now, the next audience are the parents, and they are usually arriving carrying invisible burdens. They're stressed, they're exhausted, they're financially worried, emotional, and trying desperately to create a magical memory. You know, one thing with COVID that happened is it no longer just became the mall setting where they just wanted to come in and get their pictures. The clientele changed, the attitude changed, and now they want an experience. They want Santa to communicate with their children. They want the stories. They want that personal interaction.
Yeah. And when we did, I don't know if you remember, when we were at Charles W. Howard and we listened to the Market It lady, she said that age group that is there right now, a lot of them want experiences more than they want something. And I'll say that with my children. When I ask them what they want for Christmas or birthdays and stuff, they want to do something more than they want the gift of something. You know?
Right. And also, too, is you have to take this into consideration for grandparents or parents. Just that small amount of time that the child spends with you in the chair or with any type of interaction allows for the parents or the grandparents to take a breath.
Yeah.
If they trust you, if they see that you're trustworthy, going back to looking at what we expect, they can actually exhale and they can set themselves perfectly. Now, our third one is always our lovely, lovely teenagers. But you know what? As we always assess this with teenagers, but even preteens now, they're the ones that are going to test you. They're the ones that are going to make you feel as if, oh my gosh, I have to be on my toes. And again, are you real? Are you confident? And are you going to embarrass me? And the solution is not trying harder. The solution is honesty. And what I found for me, and I don't know about you, Michael, is my story about my origin changes depending upon the age or the maturity level of the person in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
For the little ones, of course, the elves, the fairies, etc. fall into play. However, when I start talking to mature preteens, teenagers, and such, I go into more of the religious side of everything. And that kind of helps sway just a little bit. But again, always remember, respect earns respect.
Yeah.
And treat teenagers like emergent adults, not oversized children.
Yeah, I don't know if I got a chance to tell you the story that I had at our VBS this year about.
No.
In other words, there's a little boy that was not little anymore, but we've done pictures, and he's visited me for years, and he was a Santa fan, and of course he was working the VBS and helping the smaller kids, and I'm driving the golf cart. I love drive golf cart and run around, and he jumped in the golf cart with me. And as I'm doing the rounds that I was, for my job for VBS, and he made the comment about, I know that you're not the real Santa anymore. And so instead of trying to defend it because of his age, I went, I'm so glad that you know that now. And he goes, what? And I go, well, because now you're responsible to help me. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and I went, oh, yeah. Because all of those years beforehand, weren't they magical for you? He goes, yeah. And I went, now I need your help to be able to do that for younger children too. And he's going to be my elf in the parade this year.
See,
you know what I mean? So in other words, it was one of those, okay, now that you're getting a glimpse of what the real, it doesn't take away the magic, but I'm going to use that to now, would you partner with me to be able to help magic keep going for other children? And he was so excited.
Oh, yeah. And, again, though, is when you start treating teenagers with the respect, they will give the respect back. The problem is, and I mean, I'm guilty of it, but again, you look at the children, you just look at how obnoxious the teenagers are, and you just basically treat them as oversized children. And if you start treating them like adults and you start treating them with the respect and honesty, they will fall into so many lines here. Now, there's a couple questions here I just want to address before we go into the fourth group here, and then I want to get into some of the exercises as well.
Oh yeah, because we got
to do trivia and stuff like that.
That'd be fun
Santa
too.
Ron Guler, I believe that's how you say your name. I apologize if not. With all the different groups having schools, what should I choose to go to? Ron, that's a very good question. I mean, for me, first of all, how long have you been a Christmas performer or being Santa? If you've never went to Charles W. Howard, I would say that should always be one of the first schools you go to. But you have to look, and some of the people in the chat already answered this, is you have to look at what they're teaching, try to get an idea of their schedules or who is actually presenting, and see if they align with your goals. Michael and I are, we're performance-based Santas, which basically means is a lot of things we do is more or less designed for large-scale audiences on stages.
And they cross over too. It's
almost
over. Like larger home. I mean, it's a wide range of it. I'm not going to say that I'm full corporate, but I also know things that I do. If I'm going to have this prop and share the same thing in a home visit, it'll work at this size. But if I'm going to do it at the lodge, I need it bigger because the audience can see. So it's just one of those being sensitive to where you're going to do something and what that audience needs compared to a home visit, compared to having 100 in front of you.
Right. Now, Ron, I will also say this too, that there's a lot of local and regional groups out there that usually put together a weekend of training. For instance, us here in Michigan, we have our Red Sioux Conclave the first weekend in August. This coming up weekend in Nashville, Tennessee, is the Mid-Tennessee group getting together. And I believe, who's the keynote speaker? Phil,
you mean that?
Phil Wentz.
Wentz. Yeah, because Joe had a heart attack.
No, that was Branson.
Oh, okay, SOS. All right.
Yeah, this is the one that we taught at last year. Phil is actually going there.
Yeah.
And as for so again, Ron, what I would say to do is just talk to other people in your local area, see what schools they have gone to, and see what you want to look at. Because, like I said, there's the Christmas Performer Workshop, Charles W. Howard, School for Santa, School for Santa, School of Santas. There are a bunch out there.
And then a lot of groups bring instructors in, too, and so yeah.
And also, Jeff, I know the thumb lights are great, but yes, people with big thumb and fingers have trouble with these. They do make extra large thumb tips and fingertips. You just have to be careful when you're doing your research to know before you buy. And
Well, let's do this, Herbie. Let's give
Sure.
something away, and let's run this, and then we'll come back, and then we'll give a couple practical applications.
It'd be fantastic. All right, I got to get down here and look at it. Okay.
Since its founding in 2004, Santa's Closet has been committed to providing unique, high-quality accessories for Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the entire Claus community. Our mission is to deliver exceptional customer service and outstanding value, offering competitive pricing and a wide selection of products designed to enrich the Claus experience.
Woohoo!
Okay,
All right,
today's
what are
trivia.
the rules, Herbie?
The rules are very simple. We basically will be taking the first person who answers the question correctly via chat. The second one is this, that we cannot ship or Santa's Closet. I'm just Wade and Scarlett cannot ship overseas or to anywhere out of the United States. So unless you have an address within the United States, unfortunately, we cannot send you your prize. If you have won within the last 8 weeks, you are now in the sin bin for all the references to Slapshot out there, and you cannot participate. So, Michael, I am manning
You got the
YouTube,
YouTube side.
and I have the other chat opened up.
Speaking of the chat, thank you, Dave. I am so excited. Dave put down the St. Nicholas Institution is going to return in 27. I'm excited. I'm already. I got to make plans for that.
I may
That would
be
good.
going to that if it's at the same place. It's right down the street from my house.
Well, it is really close, and yeah. All right. Let's get away from the.
All right, let's see. Okay, let's go into it. And I'm
All right, here we
manning the
go.
chat.
Tonight's question. The song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" was written for what movie musical? Isn't that a good one?
I'd say that's a really good one.
The song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" was written for what movie musical? I can hear clicking. The typing is going on. And
Oh,
just as
yeah.
a side note, Livonia, Michigan. Thank you, Dave. I'm excited. I've been once, but I want to go that one again really bad.
No, Bruce,
Keep
not
watching,
White,
Herbie.
not White Christmas, not Wonderful Life.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Oh, yep, Santa Ellen, you know that one.
Oh,
But
we
you
got
are in
White Christmas.
timeout. White
I
Christmas.
hope I didn't make a
We
mistake.
have
with
it,
this.
Scott.
I got it on my card.
No, we already have it. Scott Mosteller, I believe that's how you say it, got it. Meet me in St. Louis.
Yeah!
Yes, AJ, he beat you
Meet me in
by a
St.
matter of a
Louis.
fraction of seconds.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is awesome here. So let me go
Meet me
ahead
in
and
St.
up that.
Louis. That was a good question tonight. I
That
think
was an awesome question tonight.
that's awesome. So, if you would, please, let me bring it up here. If you would send your first name, your last name, your address, city, state, and zip, and your t-shirt size to kringlebrothers2@gmail.com, we will forward that information to Wade and Scarlett, and they're really good about getting the gift out right away, and you can enjoy it. It's kind of fun to hear some of the things that they've been given. I've heard some t-shirts and coins and, a lot of just really fun ones, some stuff. In fact, I just ordered some new coins from Wade that should be at my house soon, hopefully, So all of that, nice little plug there
All of
for
that.
Santa Closet and all your wonderful Santa needs.
So we discussed, and we barely scratched the surface when it comes to basically knowing your audience. But what we wanted to do is basically just make it a point to let you know that knowing your audience and trying to understand where they're coming from will help you elevate your Christmas performer levels.
So how do you work with those observation skills? How do you improve those? One of the things that I like to do, right, is people watch.
People watch is great.
and I play a game in my head with it as I'm sitting there, in the mall or in a food court or a restaurant. I'm watching people because you'll see countenance on their face, and you're studying them, right? And you'll see some people that are really sad, and you're going, oh. So then my mind goes, if I was going to talk to them, would I say, how are you doing? Or just things that you could say to them that that might make them feel a little better. Like, go ahead.
You're combining like multiple exercises into one.
Well, that's kind of my thing that I do.
That's
sorry.
fine. No. Just keep going with it, brother. You got it. You got it nailed.
So my mind's just going, I love doing people watching because I'm beholding that. I play that game with myself. I'm trying to think of what do they call it kind of thing. But as I'm looking at their faces and countenance, so then as you play that game, and I guess maybe game's not the right word, observation, and then thinking of what you could say back to them to encourage them. That all of a sudden as Santa, those natural things will take place. So when you see a child, this has happened, I think you're probably feeling pretty sad right now, but you know what? Santa really loves you. And so they've never said anything. You just did the reading on their face. You know what I mean? So you practice that. So that's one thing that I do.
I agree. Silent observation is great, and I know with my lovely wife, I go to different stores. Now, granted, she does a lot more things online now, but I like to watch people, and then basically in my brain to have an entire script of what they're doing, especially if they're talking to other people. I don't hear anything that they're saying. I'm just adding my own words in, just based upon my observation. But remember, when you do this, do not judge. Just simply observe. And the purpose of the skill is to build awareness. You'll start being able to pick out those who are happy, those who are tired, those who are sad, which will help you navigate your Santa visits.
And I've had tons of people at the cash register, you're checking out, right? And then you look at them and their faces as they're working and going, and I've done this to them. I really appreciate you being here. I'm so glad you're checking me out. They'll just look at you like, are you sick?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because I'm all of a sudden I'm seeing their face, and I'm like, oh, they need a word of encouragement. Well, and so you can practice it anywhere.
Well, just think about this though: is how many times have you gone into, say, a McDonald's, a Culver's, a Chick-fil-A, and you see the people behind the counter, and they're just tired because, or even let's look at it this way: is let's look at people in a bus driver. Let's look at people in a service capacity that don't get the appreciation that we just, let's take your garbage man, for instance. I mean, for you to go outside and just say, like you said, I really appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you. Do you know how much that could lift someone's spirits? Just because, again,
I've seen the smiles come on their face because of it.
Going right back to what we discussed before, you're validating them. You're making them seen. This is what human nature is. Now, in addition to basically the observation exercise, now you can move into the 3 possibility exercise. And what this is, when observing someone, create 3 possible stories. For example, a child refuses to approach Santa. Are they afraid? They are overwhelmed? They are simply tired. This exercise prevents assumptions. And then the next one is an energy matching. Practice speaking to 3 imaginary guests. Now, yes, when we become Christmas performers, Santas, Mrs. Clauses, etc., you will do a lot of talking to yourself. They say the most intelligent, creative people all speak to themselves. So,
really?
Yeah. So, when you are looking at talking to these imaginary guests, imagine you're talking to an excited child. You're talking, or the next one, you're talking to a grieving adult. Or you're talking to a skeptical teenager. And here comes the fun part. Record yourself.
Yeah. I practice in front of a mirror. I like mirror work.
Mirror work is awesome because, again, as what we were talking about what the sign language is, sign language classes, by doing it in front of a mirror, you'll be able to see the different signs, and even with this, you'll be able to note the different levels, so you'll be able to pick them up.
You remembered that from my lesson the other day.
I
I'm
do,
so proud of you.
dude. I listened. I like I say, I listened, and I just soak everything in. The next one, exercise 4, is the 1 minute listen. This is a partner exercise. And this would be fine if you have a significant other, or if you are part of a Santa group, a local group, and instead of always getting together for meals, which is fun, don't get me wrong, but take the opportunity to basically work on some of these skill sets and to talk about different skill sets and how to work on them. This one is the 1 minute listen. And this is a partner exercise. And this simply is this. One person speaks for 60 seconds. The listener may only maintain eye contact, nod, and react naturally. No interruptions, no advice, no stories. The purpose of this, it develops active listening, which again is the cornerstone of every visitation that you have, every improv, everything that you can do, all has a stem back into active listening. Okay. And then again, we have some rehearsals. And again, these just allows you to practice regularly. Like a child refuses to approach. What do you do? A parent begins crying. What do you do? Now, I don't know about you, Michael. When the parents begin crying, have you ever had a parent or a grandparent cry after speaking to you?
Yes.
Now, I know you did work in senior homes and senior centers and things of that nature, and do you get a lot of that there?
Not the crying. It's usually the crying comes from something that you've done for somebody else and they've observed it. And I've had people stop me, come up to me and say Santa. And it's like, yes. And I've had people going, my son or my brother or whatever, we're talking adults, has cancer, and and they've asked for counsel, and I said, well, let's pray. And I've prayed with them, and of course they're crying, but I'm thinking the position gave them the right that I was a safe person to talk to, even though that we really didn't know each other. So I mean, I've had that happen. I've had situations where I'm visiting with the kids, and especially with like autistic kids, or I get down on their level and I'm interacting, and I might get some eye contact, and I've seen parents going, oh my gosh, and just crying, going, we've never seen them interact with a person like they did with you, that kind of stuff. And I know there's a lot of other Santas who've had that also,
Well, again, you have to always remember this. When you assume the mantle or the vocation of Santa or Mrs. Claus, you become an icon that has lasted for centuries in one capacity or the next. People are going to look at you as a trustworthy individual. They can feel they can confide in you. So again, what we were just discussing here tonight, family, was know your audience, respect your audience, and focus on your audience, and don't let your mind drift. We only have a flip.
Your audio's caught.
Oh my goodness.
There.
Oh, perfect.
I thought at first you were doing that as a joke, but then I thought, oh no, that was like a real glitch.
No, that's just it. So, just as a final thought, the greatest Christmas performers are not remembered because they spoke the loudest. They are remembered because they listened the best. When people feel safe, seen, and valued, they remember that feeling long after they forget the words. That is the true art of knowing your audience. And that is one of the greatest responsibilities entrusted to each one of us as a Christmas performer.
Yeah, and be patient.
Patient.
It takes time. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself the gift of grace. Which is an awesome. And some big thanks, to TNL Network and everyone that's there and everyone who supports us with that, especially you, our audience. We appreciate you, and Stacy and Linda. You guys are all phenomenal.
You are. And just a few brief announcements really quickly here is remember, if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more, always like us and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. That way we can actually bring more content to you all. If you have anything that you'd like us to discuss, always go ahead and send us an email at dun dun dun.
You want me to bring it up? You got it? There you go.
At the Kringle Brothers 2 at gmail.com, and we'll see what we can get. Yes, Mike, I heard that you said maybe improv for season 4. We always talk improv one way or another. And as I said, again, let's see, always follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can always find us here at Kringle Brothers. So that's always wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, our last ASL practice is Thursday, July 9th from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern
Tomorrow.
Standard Time. Please, you can find the links on our event page on Facebook. And then go ahead and register. And for those, go on.
No show next week.
Right, and no show next week because of our schedules and stuff. We will not be having a show next week, but don't worry, you'll be in our thoughts and in our prayers, and you are all wonderful. So, Michael,
So may your days be jolly and your heart shine bright.
and may the magic of Christmas fill every aspect of your life.
And be good for goodness sake.
Spread joy and share kindness to all you see.
Blessings, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas! After party!
Oh, we're back. All right. Any last real quick thought before we close?
Just remember, our Red Suit Conclave here in Michigan is at Saginaw, Michigan at the SVRC, August 1st and August 2nd. We have some wonderful, wonderful lectures coming in. In fact, we have a doctor that specializes in special need children.
Yep.
So that could be fun, and it's our favorite four-letter word that begins with F, free. All you need to do is pay for any type of lodging and food, but please register. And
Which
you
is
can
another favorite four-letter F word.
What? Food?
Food.
We do. Dude, I'm almost to the point now. I did this at Gatlinburg. Look, I will help with anything you need for basically Buckeyes or food.
Oh yeah, Steffi brought you Buckeyes too.
She made a special stop to get those Buckeyes, and they were huge.
They were big.
I mean, my goodness, they were fun. But other than that, just remember, no show next week. We'll see you all in 2 weeks, and it'll
Safe
be a
travels,
surprise.
Hoagie.
You too. You got a lot of things going on. Break a leg, have so much fun. Are you singing the national anthem?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, that's awesome! If you guys get a chance, July 26th, what is it?
Pit Spitters.
The Pit
Traverse City.
Spitters, the Traverse City, whatever. Pit Spitters will be holding Christmas in July, and yours truly, Michael Howe, will be singing the national anthem and